Hello guys, Omni here. It's that time of the week to catch up on Legends of Tomorrow, and I apologize for the delay on this because every time I went to go record this video, something kept coming up and I had to delay it until today. So I do apologize for that. But if you haven't seen this week's episode by now, be sure to tune out and come back once you have, because we are going to dive into and talk about the episode. This episode so far, even though we don't have that many episodes in the season, is already my favorite. I really like this because it definitely plays on the tropes and it's playing tribute to the period in horror that I really like the most, the 80s with slasher films. You have classics like Carrie and stuff like that kind of being referenced, Prom Night. And this movie kind of touches, or not movie, this episode really kind of touches on them all. Not really having a historical figure this episode, they kind of create their own to pay tribute to a lot of those different films. The character we're following throughout the majority of this is Freddie Myers, who we open up in 2004. And if you don't catch that already, I mean, it's easy. It's Freddy Krueger, Michael Myers. We open up in 2004, Iron Heights, where he's on death row being put to death in the electric chair. His mom's there as a witness, and, you know, he's electrocuted. He dies. The coroner's carrying him away. And, you know, he wakes up. He wakes up, you know, seemingly crashes the van, gets up. He's got the maintenance suit thing going on that Michael Myers wears. He's got his own mask that he has and puts on when he's killing people, and a kitchen knife that he just gets out of nowhere. But this episode just goes from nowhere. He's known as the Prom Night Slasher. He, on 1989 at the Central City High School prom night, killed a bunch of kids and went to prison, whatever. And there we go. We pick up later in 2004 when he's actually being put to death for all of that. When everybody's kind of collaborating on this, you see Ava really light up, because as we're learning throughout this season and throughout the more she's being integrated into the team, she really has this thrill for serial killers. Like, a lot of people kind of fangirl over like actors, actresses, and stuff like that. She's one of those people that does that over serial killers. She even has her own podcast where she talks about the criminal investigations and the serial killers themselves, the analysis on their psychology and stuff like that. So she's getting really giddy about actually being able to go and investigate one of these events firsthand. We also learned that this is Mick's old high school. And while they're there, they go to 2004, where the Encore has kind of has awoken, has come back, and is starting to threaten this 15-year reunion that the school's holding. And they're having a memoriam for the fallen victims of the 89 slashing killings. So we got a lot of people there. We got Mick avoiding an old fling of his from back in the day. Not, you know, it's kind of funny because he definitely seems like he had a crush on this girl. He really liked her, and he's just trying to avoid her. But they catch up, and it all starts going awry when the final girl from the original killings, Tiffany Harper, is brought on stage during the presentation, during the memoriam. Throat slit, blood all over her, and she's just dead. She had a trophy stabbed through her chest too. So that's how things kind of kicks off. I like Legends because because it's so goofy. I don't know if it's the ratings allows them to get a little more away with some of these more, I would say, darker tones because there's a lot more gore and blood and other substance related things that happens on this show compared to the other ones that I feel like just because of the wackiness of it, they get away with it. I don't know what it is there. But it's a lot of fun with them splitting up. They end up splitting up the team because they get this idea. And I did kind of jump over a bit. Nora is in this episode where it's kind of their Valentine's Day, as the Valentine's Day week this came out. She's there back from finally getting a break from her fairy godmothering to hang out with Ray and have a date night with Ray, but she's too tired and she passes out. But as the team starts getting this alert, everybody wakes up, and you know, she gets drawn to children with needs who are in great desperate need for something, and she ends up getting teleported and pulled and becomes the fairy godmother of Freddie Myers on his prom night back in 1989. So the team kind of splits up into groups. We got Ava, Mick, Sarah, trying to kind of keep as many people safe in 2004 as they can, while Nate, Ray, and Nora go back to 1989 to try to try to redirect the events that caused Freddy to snap that night and kill all those people. So they're trying to rewrite history and erase that event from it so that the people in the future will be safe, to just delete that encore from ever happening. So we got a lot of the typical cliches, the prom night stuff. We get some Carrie elements where the popular girl invites Freddy to the school dance out of just nowhere. He gets bullied by some jocks and whatnot. When his mom finds out about it, she gets a little freaky, giving us some of that Carrie mother kind of vibes, as well as a Norma Bates kind of feeling as well. But all in all, when they start to freak out is when Nora's like, oh crap, I have to grant him wishes. She's like, oh, he's going to want them all dead because he's mad, he's heated, and he's just like, oh, they need to get what they deserve. I got my wish now. So make me a fancy suit. I want them to be my friends. And she's like, what? Really? Okay. So they try to make his prom night the best it could have been with her intervention. And it's really cute. It's really great, especially because of Nora and the dynamic with Freddy. There's some parallels there between their upbringings that I think is kind of cool for them to play with. Meanwhile, in the future, this encore, because some of each of these encores so far has had like a ability that they've been resurrected with, at least of some kind. On top of this being a notorious slasher, they also have psychokinetic powers, so they can use telekinesis and do all kinds of stuff with that. There's a moment when Sarah and Ava are in the hallway, and this other chick who's there for the reunion comes down, and the killer uses their telekinetic powers to slam that person into one of the school lockers and then crushes it. And you just see blood spewing and oozing out of the locker holes and in the creases and the seams. And like, honestly, it was really one of those moments when I felt like, you know, I don't generally like post any reactions for these episodes because, you know, they don't usually get something huge out of me. But this was one time I wasn't recording anyway. And I'm like, I could have had, I think there was an entertaining reaction whenever that happened. I was definitely like, whoa, what just happened? But it was entertaining. I like that. There's a lot of creative things they did with it. I mean, it's cheesy. It looks cheesy. The suit, the mask, it's all goofy. It's hard to take it seriously, but I like what they do with it. I mean, it's Legends of Tomorrow. It's not, you don't take it seriously to begin with at this point. But back in the past, they're doing the best they can to try to make sure Freddy's prom night goes well. Goes to the dance, gets the limo, and they go in. Everything's going great. And then it comes to turn out that Tiffany was in league with the jocks. Even though she had a change of heart, there was a kind of, instead of pig's blood, they were going to dump a bunch of garbage on him. And she moves him out of the way. So when the jocks get upset that she diverted from the plan, they go in, they bully him, and then rat her out for being involved in it. That was the whole reason she asked him out, but she did have a change of heart. So instead of, you know, Freddy goes off and he's starting to freak out and he's getting mad, he leaves, and Nora goes out to try to subvert it, talk him. She gives him this really touching talk about how, you know, people are mean. People aren't always going to accept you, but you can work through it. You can get through it. People eventually, if you tough it out, the right people will find you eventually. And I really like that about it because for me, it very much is true. I think that is a good message, at least for people who have these struggles in high school and stuff like that. And then, of course, back in the future timeline, 2004, they're all trying to capture this spirit, this encore, and Mick is finally making some moves on his old crush. And just when she's about to ask him out, she gets killed. And he gets mad. He pulls out his flame gun and just tries to kill the encore. But the encore flings the fire back and kills Mick just uses their psychic powers to fling the fire back at Mick and just completely burn the crap out of him. So he's dead. A lot of people were just dying left and right with this thing, and it really comes down to Ava and Sarah just fighting this person one-on-one until they're about to get killed off. Back in the past timeline in 1989, as everything's finally starting to go back, he was like, show them who you really are. She sends him back in, and he, like, I guess she gave his last wish was to have like a cool dance number because he goes up on stage, busts these dated moves, but busts some moves, gets everybody on the dance floor dancing except for the jocks. They're just angry that everybody's like joining this kid. Whatever. He ends up leaving the dance with a whole bunch of girls and going to his limo, where Zari earlier had tried to escape. She wanted to see if the computer on the Wave Rider had internet access, because she couldn't tweet her followers or post any Instagram stuff on her phone. So she has to go check it on there, and she gets a flash of Zari's old timeline, her old memories, where she was good with computers. She could hack things, and she remembers how to use it for a moment. She doesn't understand what's happening, but she was like, I just knew how to unlock this door, and she gets out. And she ends up in the limo with all of the kids, and as that shows up, the Prom Night Slasher shows up there as well and starts attacking the kids. And as we jump back to the future there, after from the heat from Mick's flame gun melted the mask to where it fell off, and it reveals the mom was the killer, just like Pamela Voorhees and, you know, Carrie's mother, all coming together. Norma Bates, all coming into this character. We learned that she was the real killer back in 1989. She didn't want anybody to take her Freddy away from her. He belonged to her and all this kind of stuff. And he loved her so much that he didn't want her to go to jail, so he did. And when he was executed, she had a heart attack. They both died at the same time. But she's now trying to kill these kids. And so everything they did to kind of reroute Freddy's path there wasn't really going to do anything, because it was his mom. His mom was going to do it no matter what. But, however, the entire team was there at that time and was able to save the kids from getting killed by her. And they capture her almost kind of Scooby-Doo style. Bayrod shows up, wind totems are down away from the kids. She does get one of them right across the throat, though. And she gets arrested. You know, Freddy having this conversation with Nora because of her relationship with her father. She relates, talks him through it, gets him through it. And he copes. You know, it sucks. His mom's going to prison or whatever, but the Encore doesn't get created. All these kids live. I mean, they lost one as opposed to, I think, like the 9 or so they got killed originally. And so they rerouted that. They stopped that, brings back everybody back in the future because that didn't happen. So Mick, his girlfriend are both back, and they're banging. They 100% start to make out and then bang in some stairwell. And yeah, it was a fun little episode. I really liked it. It was corny, it was cheesy, it was stupid, but I loved it. There's this little storyline with Gary and Constantine trying to figure out what to do with the Encores and Astra. So he goes back to the UK to go to his home, where he needs to try to get some information, and finds Charlie's been hiding there, pretending to be him. Has some vagabonds who are just sheltering up in his home, partying with her. While there, they have like a heart-to-heart talking about his situation, what's holding him back from this, and why he actually came back to this house. And it was to talk with a powerful witch spirit who has been dead and imprisoned there, which is apparently Astra's mother. So he breaks the seal on where she's locked up and enters this void, pitch black chamber, and that's where the episode ends. So overall, I had a lot of fun with this episode. It was stupid, but it just really paid a lot of just tribute to those kind of films, with not just the names, the nods, the themes, the events, a lot of the kills. There was some just fun things that they did with this. In Legends, they can just play around and just do something fun. I don't think at this point a lot of people even take it seriously, so I don't think they take it too seriously anymore. Though, like I said, I always say this. I like when Legends was serious. I did have a lot of fun with those episodes. I did like what they did. It felt like what the Legends were doing was a lot more important than what they've been doing the past 2 seasons. But that being said, it does create a different dynamic from the rest of the shows, and I like it. They have fun with it, and they're having fun doing it. Nora being a fairy godmother is a little cringy at times, but it's also kind of funny given her background and how demonic and evil her and her father were at a point. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. What do you guys think of the episode? Let me know down in the comments below. We'll carry on that conversation after the video. And again, I apologize for this being late and being delayed, but I don't know. things came up. I really am sorry about that. I'll try to stay more on top of these things as we go forward. But that is it for this video. If you like the video, support the channel by liking, commenting, subscribing, and I will catch you guys next week with the next Legends of Tomorrow. Take care, everybody.